Devlog 1. Today, January 31st, 2026, I started making a new game. This one I plan to have done after 3 months, February, March, and April. I have got a good start. I started by planning out my game dev process of how I want to develop games from now on, or at least for this game. And that just boiled down to scheduling in a time, like a time window of 3 months. And each month has a milestone. Milestones will contain specific features and will be as close to reasonably possible to do within a month. I even scheduled out the specific days and how many hours I want per week. And then I started making a to-do list for my game. I made some game ideas, 3 of them. I was really invested in the first one though, so I just chose that as the game that I wanted to do. I listed a pretty short objective, how to reach the objective in a high-level perspective, and then I started moving to mechanics. This one is kind of like the flow of the game. So at the beginning of the game, you choose your companion. Your player character always starts with the same stats and special abilities. I defined the game loop. Defining this really helps me understand that the game is not it's not mysterious. Once you start plotting down these actual bullet points, you can start mapping out how the game will look like in a more concrete fashion. And it becomes this giant looming monster to just it's just these things. These are the components of the game. So I broke it up into a battle section, events, and then that's basically it until the final battle. I defined each of these game loop bits. So the battle start, you encounter 1 to 3 enemies. Player can have up to 2 animal companions at the start. The turn order starts with the highest speed stat, yada yada yada. I defined the battle and what happens in the battle, kind of what happens turn by turn. And then I defined what happens after the battle's over. I defined 2 different events. This is kind of taking inspiration from Inscryption. In Inscryption, you have a way of gaining cards, then a way of combining those cards or making them more powerful in 2 different events. So I decided to make 2 event slots. Currently, the first event slot just has 1 event, which is healing a party member. And the second event slot has some pretty interesting options. Trader, blue fairy, red fairy, green fairy is to come. I wanted to make sure to have the player be able to choose whether to engage or disengage from some of these options and to be forced into engaging with the option for the trader. So the blue fairies have good upsides, but they also may turn out to be trick fairies, which play a trick on you. Like the blue fairy, it offers to increase the chosen player party's members with MP, mana points. It's like energy or magic. However, it may be a trick fairy, which also will drain your party members' MP to half. So there's trade-off, there's risk, and it's a gamble. The red fairy can offer to swap a stat on one party member with a different stat on a different party member. So say your wolf has 20 attack, and you want your player to have 20 attack, but currently they have 10 attack. Then you can ask to switch the player's speed with the wolf's attack. And then those 2 stats will swap. And if you're solo, meaning you don't have a companion animal, you swap a stat within the player's stats. However, maybe a trick fairy which will swap the 2 random stats on the selected party members, which may be if you have low let's look at the stats. If you have low speed, and it switches that with your health, your max health. That's not a good combination. That would be very bad. And the green fairy, I want to have a green fairy too, but I don't know what it's going to do right now. I defined the stats. One thing that Jonas Tyroler said, which kind of stuck out to me, was consider starting a game by working on the data first. Like, how is the data going to be structured? So I'm doing that by kind of parsing it out into understandable data points. Like, for example, stats. Generally, gamers understand what stats mean. You have health, attack, armor, which reduces incoming attack, but you only have so much of it. Speed, and then mana points. So we have start of turn effects, end of turn effects. These are the kind of things where I have a hard time building them up. So I've been trying to find a way of handling effects in a way that's interesting and easy-ish to code and to add more effects in. You also have the different animals. I've started working on them. Like, there's a wolf, which has higher attack and speed, but no armor and no passive. You have an owl, which has an active and a passive, but less health. You have some where it's like you spend MP on the active and the passive, and some which you don't spend MP on the passive. Generally, you spend MP on the active, though. And that's what I've got so far. It's just a small little game that's I'm going to be doing in Godot, hence all of the Godot language over here. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this game turns out.